Hi class, it's Dr. Humpage. Hope you're doing well this morning. I want to talk a little bit about the 3-2 assignment that we have this week. I want to give some tips and hopefully make your experience doing this assignment go a little bit more smoothly. So bear with me as I pull up a few resources. Let's get rid of the news. And here we are. So the first thing we're looking at is our tracks and topics document. And I want to start here because I want to kind of simplify what they're asking you to do in this assignment. In this assignment, this 3-2 literature review assignment, your goal is to do literature reviews on all 3 of the articles provided to you in the course in your track and topic. So if you are choosing track 1 and topic 1, your 3-2 assignment should consist of a literature review of this article, a literature review of this article, and a literature review of this article. You can just do one literature review after another in a Word document. You can just kind of finish one, start the next one. But we need to have 3. That's the key thing I want to emphasize here. Again, track 2, topic 1, you have these 3 articles to review for the 3-2 assignment. Track 2, topic 2, you have these 3 articles to review for this assignment. So just one thing I want you to get out of this portion of my little video here is that you need to do 3 literature reviews for this assignment on the articles provided to you. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's take a look at this assignment in a little bit more detail. One thing I want to mention, this is milestone 1 of the final project. And so these milestone assignments, these are going to eventually become part of your final project. So you're going to do a lit review for me this week. I'm going to give you some feedback on it. And then in Module 7 of this course, you're going to resubmit it again. In the meantime, you're going to have a chance to get my feedback, make some edits, do some improvements on it. So it's important that you make a good effort here because really, you're setting a nice foundation for the final project. And, the more effort you put in now, the less you're going to have to do on the back end. And so that's kind of a nice thing. Getting into the specifics of this assignment, what you need to do here is answer the same questions you did on your last lit review. This little bullet pointed section should look familiar to you. These are the questions we went over in the 2-2 assignment. We've got a little template they provide for you. This is a very nice tool for you because it just puts them all out there. Again, this should look familiar, and feel free to just, answer these questions in the template. If you want to submit, the template with your answers as your lit review, I'm totally fine with that. My main focus is that you really answer these questions completely. Again, I'm looking for a short paragraph as an answer here. Give me at least 2-3 sentences or more. Avoid the 1-sentence answer. That's not giving enough detail to really do this assignment well. Ultimately, as you move through courses, especially for you psychology majors, you're going to find they're going to want more and more depth and detail and more ability to kind of look at research with a fine-tooth comb. And so this is practice for that. It all adds up in your academic career. I want to look at the scoring rubric as well. One of the things that's caused a little bit of confusion for students in this course is that we've got, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions. And then we've got 9 elements or 8 elements of the scoring rubric. So I think the experience students have as they go through this is that, okay, the scoring rubric is a little bit more involved than the questions. And, honestly, that's something that I find a little bit odd with this course. It would be nice if this matched up with the questions a little bit more directly. So one of the things you're going to have to do here is just be aware of some of the things that they're wanting to get from you in this assignment. These are sort of like aspirationally what you want to be talking about when you do this assignment. if you're finding all of this overwhelming, because I have had students that sort of find this scoring template overwhelming, here's how you can work through it. Here's a suggestion for working through it. I mean, I think if you're finding yourself a little bit confused by what they're asking you, focus on these questions. Focus on using this template and answering those questions completely. I found that if students, if they get a little bit crossed up and they feel a little bit overwhelmed by this assignment, if they just focus on these questions and try to do like really nice, effortful, complete answers, then the scoring rubric kind of takes care of itself. But let's take a little bit of a walk through here and talk about what this scoring rubric means. Personality develops. And so basically throughout your 7 answers, you're going to show that as you go through this research, you're picking out some things that show that you are understanding how personality develops. This isn't one of the aspects that you really answer in one question, but I think if you do good answers on all the questions, again, this kind of takes care of itself. You're showing me that you're picking up some of the main points about how personality develops. The second part of the rubric is about how personality is assessed. Some of the questions for this assignment ask you to talk about the ways they're assessing personality. So if you can talk about some assessment measures or talk about, the researchers measured the variable of A using this method, then you're covering this part of the rubric pretty well. This history portion of the rubric is pretty directly a one-to-one relationship with this question right here. And so if you can go through the research articles in your lit review and talk about, the intro sections and what have other studies found that lead up to the current article, then you're covering the history section of the rubric fairly well. Personality psychology is the next part of this little rubric, and it says, explains the conclusions that can be reached about personality psychology based on analysis of the research. So again, this is one of these questions or aspects of the rubric that kind of encompasses a few questions. But if you're answering all the questions pretty completely, then what you're talking about is, you're talking about the hypotheses of the studies. You're talking about some of the results of the studies, perhaps. And so in doing so, you're talking about some of the claims that the authors are making. And you're talking about some of the conclusions that they're trying to reach. And that satisfies this element of the rubric. If we move on, talking about research designs. Again, that's a very one-to-one relationship with the questions about research design in the template. So if you give a nice full answer about the research design and try to identify it, maybe talk about the methodology a little bit, then you're going to be covered. This next portion of the rubric is a little bit redundant. It says, explains how research designs were used by authors to conduct research. I mean, I think this is a little bit of a, it's sort of the second part of the same question in some ways, but your focus in discussing research designs should be that you can identify the design, and then you can talk about like the methodology and maybe give a reason why they use this design to answer this research question. So if you give some depth and some detail and some discussion about it, you're probably going to do a pretty good job of answering both of those aspects about design in the scoring rubric here. Moving down to the end, issues of ethics. Take a look in these articles and figure out some of the ways they manage ethical considerations and write about them. If you can pick a few out, then you've satisfied this part of the rubric. The second part about ethics is a little bit difficult to answer based on 3 research articles. I can't really expect students in the course to have a real great working knowledge of how ethics have been viewed historically using examples from research if I only give you 3 articles. So I'm going to give you permission to sort of punt a little bit on this aspect of the scoring rubric. My suggestion on managing this would be like, just do a good job of discussing the ethical considerations that they make in the articles. And again, a great way to look at ethics in this course is to look at Section 8 of the APA Ethics Code. So that's just a great tool for you to use at SNHU, because every course at SNHU in psychology is going to talk about ethics. And so if you've got a good working knowledge of the ethics code, you're going to do great with ethics questions. Articulation of response, that's pretty straightforward here. Give me just a second. I actually want to pull up Section 8 of the APA Ethics Code and show you where it is. Something I refer to as a professional from time to time, and so what you'll see, Section 8 is research and publication, and so this is just a wealth of knowledge. If any course in SNHU or any course you take anywhere is asking about ethics and research in psychology, you go to this section. It's like bam, bam, bam. Here's all the statutes. Here's all the aspirational goals and the specific things we're held to as psychologists. We do research, and so you can use this as a great jumping off point for talking about ethics. It's a great tool that you can have in your arsenal. Okay, so that's a little bit of a tour through this assignment. Email me if you have questions. There's things that come up along the way. I'm more than happy to take a look. I like teaching. So, this is what I do all day. I do psychology stuff, right? So let me know what your questions or concerns may be, and have fun with this one. Take care.